Hey, I would like to read you my story about the dandelion. In 2011, I went back to school for art and creative writing, and I wrote a story about the dandelion personified. Not only did I write the story, but I also did 3 pieces of art to go with it. The dandelion puff was a drawing, large-size drawing of a puff like this necklace. And then I did a real close-up of one leaf with all the veins showing, like the stress of life. And then I did an oil painting of a disfigured plant that my dad had tried to kill that was in between the crack of my driveway and sidewalk, like between a rock and a hard place. He took a sharp tool and he just kept cutting at it, but it grew back, and it grew back mangled. And when I saw it, I felt pain, like it personified my life. And so I did the painting, but when I got to the jagged edges, I created a rusty red color of plant blood. And when I painted it on the jagged edge, I cried. And so to me, Dandy is real, and she represents many of us. I hope you enjoy this, and I hope it touches your heart. I wrote the whole story with horticulture language as well. So her proper name was Taraxacum officinale, but she knew herself as simply Dandy, the illegitimate child of a European parent on the one side and an Asiatic on the other. She was born into the disdainful legacy of the lifetime survivalists. She was a despised race, a rejected and scorned one, labeled as inferior and unworthy by those of supposedly noble birth. At least her deplorable inheritance came stocked with the ability to be content in whatever terrain she found herself entrenched in. To the complete contrast of her elitist neighbors who claimed that it was simply impossible for them to live without suitable soil, or their trailing list of demands for the amenities necessary to make them glamorous and alluring. To be sure, Dandy was grateful for this virtue left to her by the family legacy, because twice she found herself plucked by the roots from her beloved home, yanked out of her familiar habitat and forced to learn to grow in a foreign soil. Truth be known, Dandy's life could be a suspense-filled movie with multiple plots and wild offshoots. A horror, a thriller, a drama, a comedy, and a romance, all rolled into one. For starters, she was nearly annihilated at birth by an assailant who tried to strangle her, a symbol and a preview of the choking dust of her future path to destiny. However, she not only survived, but she came back stronger, more resilient, though understandably less trusting. She was a romantic, a freedom lover, a gypsy whose every cell longed to dance to the rhythm of a higher heartbeat. She knew she was born to fulfill a destiny bigger than her own backyard. In fact, her imagination envisioned that her dance floor would cover the entire world. Ever the one to spring up as an eager volunteer, to break through the smallest crack in the hardest cemented situations. She stood tall in the face of all the rumors and the lies of those who deplored her. And even after tasting the mulching death of her own vision and discomfort of her dried up dreams, she would get back up one more time. Tears dripping, bringing sweet relief, she would allow them to fall from her face like so many tiny petals, floating down and softening the hard ground of her existence. All she ever wanted to do was to cast kindness and compassion around like so much harmless gold. Yet for some strange reason, unbeknownst to her, she was treated like a forsaken flower, a plant out of place, something to be thrown in a refuse pile. There were the cutting remarks that attempted to prune back her possibilities for future fulfillment, vindictive words that pierced her veins like poison, saying, "She came from my neck of the woods. Her house was a mere ditch of a home. She's just a flamboyant fake." They said she was an insignificant weed, green trash. Ah, but weeds are flowers too once you get to know them. What is a weed but a plant whose virtues have not yet been discovered? Ralph Waldo Emerson said. Like the tall poppy syndrome, where the other poppies become indignant if one of them dares to reach for the limitless possibilities of life above the norm, so it was for Dande. The accusations flooded unmercifully over her body, trying to drown her in a sea of despair, just as they had done to her family line for generations past. They mistook her tenacity for stubbornness, and her confidence for pride and arrogance. Her sunny optimism was constantly challenged, whipped by cruel winds of unwanted change. Her parade was soddened by man-made storms. Abandoned and left in the crackling cold hands of the dark, devoid of the warm nutrients of love, she became frail and fragile. Flashes of memory would burst against her mind of the times she was forgotten, stranded, and left to shrivel by the scorching glare of the sun, who should have known better, but who beat on anyway, long and hard, enough to wither any life form, no matter how green and lush. In spite of it all, she mastered every survival skill in the book, including how to grow where someone said she couldn't. She clung tenaciously to the right to be, ever careful not to allow even the tiniest seeds of doubt to be sown in the core of her being. She had seen firsthand the results of those who had. She had witnessed their rotting dreams turning over into decayed hope, bringing a harvest of bitterness, which brought with it a stench like that of an old urn of forgotten compost. But with each battle she overcame, her roots grew deeper into the rock. And as they did, so did her knowledge of who she was, until what she was meant to be and do in life became unshakable. No one could uproot her from her destiny ever again. Our dandy is middle-aged now, still the brave one, but wiser. Gone are the days of unguarded, vulnerable trust. The wildness of zeal is also gone, stomped out long ago by predators and friendly fire. That is all replaced now by a lovely calm and a sturdy patience. As always, she chooses to adapt herself to her surroundings. Her roommate, loneliness, once thought as an intruder, has been embraced and transformed into sweet serenity. Yes, she still dances. And with the moonlight as her partner, they dance to that same old wild native rhythm. In the cool twilight of the night, they waltz about, casting kindness on open, fertile ground. As the cuddly elite lie unmoved, bedded down, and comatose in their controlled containment, unaware of the unrestrained joys of the night. That sweet, misty fragrance of pain and loss resolved. hope you enjoyed it.